I've always been a fan of music. I've always really caught into the lyrics and listening to the music, but I was really a latecomer to the party. I didn't start playing music until I had been really in college about a year, which would have been 2003, 2004. And I had a friend that came up, a guy I'd played football with, and came up to visit me in Statesboro. And we had a bonfire out back, and everybody was sitting around, and he pulled his guitar out and started playing it. And I saw what it did to the people there, and how everybody instantly was engaged with everything he was doing. And I decided then, this is something I want to do. Funny story, I called my dad the next day and told him that I needed him to put $100 in my checking account, that I wanted to go buy a guitar. And he said, well, son, you'll never be able to play the guitar. Nobody in our family plays music. And I said, well, I'll take that bet. And what I'll do, you put the $100 in there, I'll go buy the guitar. And in 6 months, if I can't play this thing, I'll give you your $100 back. So he put the $100 in my checking account. I went to the local music store there in Statesboro and bought a guitar and got online and started trying to learn to play the guitar. To keep from getting bored with it, I actually went and looked at songs that I liked. Tried to find a song that had 2 or 3 chords in it, and I said, okay, let's figure out how to play those 2 or 3 chords so I can start playing a song. Within a week, I didn't know what I was doing, but I had my fingers in the right place to where I could start to make something sound like a song. And then that's how I taught myself to play, was learning songs instead of really learning theory and actually how to play the guitar.
A little slice of heaven on earth, where the fields are green, the streets are covered in dirt.
Growing up, my parents listened to country music, and that was really all I knew. And growing up in a small rural town, on the weekends we went and played in the dirt. We rode four-wheelers and whatever we could do out in the woods, and went hunting and fishing, anything we could do. And really all of that is the stories that country music tells. I really didn't have any drive that said, I've got to be able to do this. It was more of a snowball effect once I figured out how to play that first song and got through it. And while the chord progression was slow and there was a pause between changing chords, when I got to the end of that, I heard, this is close to what this is supposed to sound like. And then once I figured that song out, then I'd find another song that had one more chord and add that. And it was really just a constant progression. 6 or 8 months after I started playing, I reached out to one of the guys that was a manager of a local bar there in Statesboro and told him I wanted to come play there. We set something up for me to play happy hour on the deck. So I got to the bar about 4, and I had a couple of drinks to try to knock the edge off, and the manager of the bar came to me about 4:45 and he said, look man, we've had some calls and folks come by, and I think we're gonna have a good turnout. We're gonna push you back and let you play inside instead of out on the deck, and we'll do it from 7 to 9. So I sat there and I had a couple other drinks to knock the edge off, and about 7 o'clock he said, what do you feel about playing the headline deal here and just do 10 to 1 tonight? And I said, well, that's great, I'd love to do that. So I sat there and I knocked a little more edge off, and by the time 10 o'clock rolled around, I had been sitting in that bar for about 6 hours knocking the edge off. Needless to say, my first ever experience on stage was probably not my best performance. I had a great time, and I think everybody there had a great time, but I learned very quickly that knocking the edge off for a 6-hour period is kind of dangerous when you got to stand on stage for 3 more hours. But it worked out. He called me back to play again, so it couldn't have been too bad. But it was quite an experience.
The quarterback always goes for the queen of that county fair that's held every spring. And Farmer Joe is holding...
Full-time job, my real job, if you will, is I'm a certified public accountant. And on the weekend, music really gives me a way to escape from the real world, if you will. And it's a very therapeutic thing, and it's an offset to the hustle and bustle of the real world. And outside of music, really the only other thing I do to unwind is spend time with my family and take my little son James. We go hunting together, dove hunting, duck hunting. I actually took him deer hunting for his first time this year. So music and spending times in the outdoors with my little one is really the way I get away from the real world. Seeing the world through their eyes is really what brings it all together. And he got his first drum set for Christmas this year, and whether we're in the house making some sort of music, and very rarely does it actually sound like music, but we're having a blast doing it, or whether we're outside hunting, I mean, just seeing the world through their eyes and seeing that, you know, there's so much more to life than what we see every day in our routine that we go through, brings it all home. Duck hunting is great, in my opinion, and really kind of trumped deer hunting for me, because when you're duck hunting, you don't have to sit there and be quiet the entire time. You know, the nature all around you is moving and making noises. You can be, you know, in your boat or in a blind with your friends, with your family. Like I said, I like to hunt with my son, and really, you know, being able to talk with each other and have that camaraderie, and then you hear the whistling of the wings coming over, or if we're quail hunting in the morning, you know, you hear that bobwhite quail chirping first thing in the morning. I mean, it's really nothing like being able to hear that and really enjoying the great outdoors and spending time with friends and family while doing that. Being a musician, something that we're faced with on stage is a lot of loud noise. And if you're not careful, you can have, you know, overbearing noise on stage, and you end the show and you go home and your ears are ringing. And so we've always been very careful to make sure that we keep the volume levels at a point where we can hear, because I mean, it would be very hard. I mean, I know there are folks that have done it, but it would be very hard to be a good musician if you couldn't hear your product. Not only music, but just in life, I couldn't imagine doing anything I do, whether it be work, hunt, play music, anything, without having my hearing.
I left after graduation. Anywhere else was my destination. But I can't wait to get back to that town.
Being on stage is my favorite part of anything I do with music. I enjoy writing songs, and I enjoy sitting around and playing with friends, but really being on stage and having that crowd interaction and seeing the folks that have spent their hard-earned money to pay a cover charge and to come out and enjoy our show, seeing them enjoy themselves and really connect with what we're doing and the music we're playing is what makes it all worthwhile, and it makes it worth, you know, being out late and having to get up early the next morning. I mean, the feeling that you see those people having, enjoying your music, is really what brings it all home.
Hey, I'm proud to say I'm from that town that Walmart hadn't found.